clients is they always kind of want to simulate what they've seen on social media, which doesn't always translate that great in real life. Like sometimes, especially, you know, being makeup artists in Los Angeles, you see a lot of other makeup artists walking around the street, like looking like an Instagram photo. And you're just like, wow, I can see everything on their face. Like, that's crazy looking, right?
It's the strangest thing. Like, when I started meeting people that are, like, on social media and stuff, and they have, or even going to events like BeautyCon or whatever, and people have, like, the full beat face, and it's just, like, it is so much makeup. Like, it is so much makeup. Like, when people started doing the whole cream contouring thing, I was like, why are women doing that? That's a drag queen technique. Like, for men to look like women. Women already look like women. Like, why are they doing this?
That was, I mean, it was huge, that whole, like, Kardashian kind of
is. It still is. People just don't call it, like, well, people sometimes call it the Kardashian, like, but it just became ingrained into, like, makeup now. Like, it's you can't do foundation without doing contour. It's, like, a thing.
I know. It's funny. My little cousin actually asked me when I said that I was going to start doing a YouTube channel if I would do how to do a full face of makeup but with minimal product, but she wanted specific emphasis on the contouring. And she's like 20 something years old. I mean, she's beautiful, and you know, she's actually very thin all on her own. She's got nice contours to her face. When you look at makeup, even for film of like 15 years ago, you know, the most you would do is just a little bit of blush. You wouldn't do that whole, like, unless there was something like really wrong with your nose or something, like you wouldn't correct people's faces the way that we correct it now. It's like we overcorrect almost.
One thing, not really to do with makeup, but having to do with how now we're so obsessed with looking perfect. I was watching a movie back from, I don't know, the 90s or something, and people's teeth were like totally like crooked and like not white, and like no one cared.
Yeah,
now
I remember watching a movie and being like, ew.
Yeah, and like now everyone has these perfect straight white teeth, and it's just like, why do we have to be perfect, you know?
No.
Like it's weird how we've gotten to a very artificial point in society. Like
it's almost like it's going like this, right? Because on one hand you have brands that are all about that look, that are like matte face, matte lips, you know, super arched everything, super contoured everything. And then you have other brands, which, I mean, just off the top of my head, like Glossier and Milk Makeup, they're really about not being able to see the makeup on the face, and it's supposed to look super, super natural. And it's almost like makeup has now, it's like rivaling, like, looks. Like, they're very different approaches to perfecting your face.
I mean, I think that you should do whatever you want makeup wise, like whatever makes you happy. Like some people, like whenever I do lipstick, I usually, now I've kind of stopped doing that, but I used to like overdraw my lips like up to my nose.
I still do that.
It was like I'd overdraw like crazy, and like I think if it makes you happy, then you're not hurting anyone by putting product on your face. Except yourself if you put stuff with parabens and cancer stuff.
Right, and I mean, it's less detrimental than lip fillers, right?
Yeah,
because, like,
I mean, but if that makes you happy, then go and get lip fillers. Like, I'm fully of, like, I think that you should do whatever makes you happy as long as it doesn't hurt anyone else. And if you want to wear no makeup, or if you want to wear 500 layers of makeup, that's your call. But
I agree that 500 layers of makeup looks crazy.
Yeah, but there is a difference between makeup that you do on film and like social media makeup. Like film with like actresses or models, you try to be as natural as possible because you don't want the camera to detect anything. Mm-hmm. So you have to try to be like, and usually they have good skin. Sometimes they don't. Because
when you have a still photograph, you can see everything.
Yeah.
So you really kind of want to make sure everything's blended out. But I feel like that's also true of like face-to-face interactions. Like if you're getting someone ready for an event or something, like the makeup, the more natural it is, the better. Because your eye catches, I mean, your eye is very HD. Like it sees everything.
And it's what we were talking about before. Your eye looks for the flaws. So if something looks weird, you're just going to focus on what looks weird and what looks off. And going back to the contouring thing, when girls started doing, and they're still doing the cream contour, it's like, if you like that, fine, but like, I don't see why that's a thing. Because on top of that, they set it with, like, powder contour and all that. Like, the way I do my contour, I just put on my concealer foundation, and then I just do powder contour. And it just has a much more natural finish, and it's not layering things on your skin. If you were to do, like, just a cream contour because you want to keep things dewy and stuff, that makes sense. Like, if you want to go for a cream blush and, like, a cream highlighter and a cream contour because you want a dewy effect, it's fine.
Yeah.
But, like, doing something and then stacking powder and then stacking whatever.
I would say, though, like, it used to be that only celebrities got photographed so much, right? I mean, it was like, anytime there's paparazzi and, you know, if they were wearing a ton of makeup, it was almost understandable because they were high profile. But now we live in a world where everybody's photographed a lot all the time because of smartphones and, and because a lot of people, you know, are using social media as a way to promote themselves and further their careers. So it's important to look a certain way. And I feel like that's maybe part of the reason that people are becoming so obsessed with this, what used to be a drag technique, right?
Yeah,
to be able to look a certain way and be accepted. But sometimes, I mean, sometimes some of the makeup really does look crazy. And I feel like in person, it doesn't translate well.
It doesn't translate because if you're taking a picture, like, with a ring light or something, it gives you this amazing effect. But if you're out in daylight and it doesn't translate. It's great for, like, even working, doing photographic makeup is different from doing film makeup because of the lights. Because the lights are so intense, you have to add more makeup to compensate so that it looks nice. It doesn't look washed out against the bright lights. It's like theatrical makeup. You have to go over the top so that people can see it in the back and with the bright lights. But that's totally different. Each makeup suits a different situation. And I think if you were to wear theatrical makeup on the street, like, it would look totally off.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like,
there's a time and a place.
There's a time and a place for everything. So, like, the Instagram makeup is fine for photography. It looks absolutely gorgeous in photography, but it's totally different if you wear it out to, like,
in real life, like,
to go out for lunch or something. Like,
it's because there's no way that people can't tell. Everyone can tell.
Just,
I mean, unless you were doing a pretty light contour, pretty much everyone can tell that you're wearing makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. At the same time that I'm like, do whatever makes you happy, I also think that there's a time and a place for each style of makeup.
Agreed. I actually really do agree with that. I feel like there's also a certain time and place for different products. I mean, the HD thing a couple years ago, everyone was freaking out. I remember I had just started doing makeup in LA, and anytime I was hired for a job, people would say, do you do HD makeup? Do you do HD makeup? Because, like, that was the hot thing. And people were scared to death. I mean, actors were, like, shaking their boots because they were like, if you're not using HD makeup, I don't want you to touch my face, because they were scared that they were going to be able to see the makeup on camera. And the interesting thing is, some of these powders that, like, have this, like, really refined texture that really go into the skin, especially if you're using, like, a puff and you're pressing it in and it looks like you're wearing nothing at all. If you photograph that same powder, it has, like, a reflective property and you look crazy. You look like a clown because there's all this white stuff. And that happened, unfortunately, to a lot of celebrities.
A lot of celebrities, like the HD finishing powder. And some brands have the flashback, some don't. I know that Makeup Forever has a flashback, and that's the one that most people were caught wearing. The MAC doesn't have a flashback, so it's great for, like, bridal makeup and stuff. Like, it's my go-to translucent powder is the MAC one.
She didn't get paid to say that.
I didn't get paid to say that. And I actually barely have any MAC in my kit, but I do have their powder. And if you guys know of any other translucent HD powders that you like, do you know any other translucent?
Well, I prefer talc-free powders. That's actually part of my thing is, like, I try to reduce the amount of talc that I put on somebody's face. There are some products that are actually almost impossible to find without talc. Just, I guess, the way it's made or whatever. Yeah. But, like, Bare Minerals actually makes a talc-free cornstarch-based powder, I'm pretty sure. And then so does Youngblood. I love the Youngblood loose powder.
I've never used Youngblood.
You've never used Youngblood? Well, they're great. And I also am not sponsored by them, by the way. I just love their brand. I really do.
Cool. So, yeah, like, that was a big thing, like, having flashback. And also, like, foundation that has sunscreen in it, like, that has flashback as well. So then you'd photograph someone and their face would look white, not necessarily because the foundation was wrong, but because the foundation had flashback. Some colors, some pigments, they don't photograph the same way as you see it in real life. And then also, like, the thing with doing makeup for photography and film, you have to adjust according to the light. So maybe there's a colored light that they're using to light a scene or a photo, and then you wanted to use a red lip, but then with the green light it's gonna look like brown or whatever. Like, it changes. Like, that's what color does. So you have to adapt according to your lighting. Like, that a perfect example is in black and white film. They would use crazy colors in their makeup so that they could get the different shades to show up in the black and white film.
Yeah.
It's
so interesting because I've also read up on that where in, like, I guess the 1920s or 30s, people would walk around the studio lots with a full face of, like, Oompa Loompa yellow foundation. Because that actually looked like skin, right?
On film, and
or like green lipstick and stuff like that.
Yeah, green lipstick, and like I remember there's like purple that they used and green and yellow because on the type of film that they used, that's what translated as, you know, the colors that you thought you were seeing. But like, yeah, it's crazy. So, yeah.